every morning. Millions of people drag themselves out of bed, already defeated before their day begins, lying to themselves about living their best life while scrolling mindlessly through other people's highlight reels. They'll spend the next 16 hours convincing themselves they're too busy to chase their dreams, too tired to make a change, and too comfortable to risk failure. What they don't realize is that their self-diagnosed laziness isn't a personality trait. It's a silent killer of potential, a comfortable prison they built brick by brick with excuses and a slow suicide of their dreams that happens one postponed goal at a time. Sometimes the smallest decision can change everything. That moment when you choose to stay in bed for just 5 more minutes. It's not really about those 5 minutes, is it? It's about the battle that happens in your mind every single morning. The internal dialogue that whispers, you can start tomorrow, while another part of you knows that tomorrow never comes. You see, I used to believe that laziness was a personality trait. Something fixed, unchangeable, like having blue eyes or being right-handed. And maybe you believe that too. Maybe you've told yourself that story so many times it feels like truth etched in stone. I'm just not a morning person. I work better under pressure. I'll get to it eventually. But here's what I discovered. And what I'm about to share with you might just shatter everything you believe about yourself. Laziness isn't who you are. It's a safety mechanism. A protective shield your mind created to guard against failure, against pushing beyond your comfort zone, against the unknown. Think about the last time you procrastinated on something important. Really think about it. Was it because you couldn't do it, or was it because somewhere deep inside you were afraid of what might happen if you tried? Were you protecting yourself from potential disappointment, from the possibility that your best might not be good enough? The truth is, your lazy era isn't about being lazy at all. It's about fear disguised as comfort. It's about settling for less because less feels safe. It's about choosing the known pain of mediocrity over the unknown possibility of greatness. Let me share something with you that most motivational speakers won't. Productivity isn't about doing more. It's not about cramming more tasks into your day or checking more boxes on your to-do list. True productivity is about becoming more. It's about expanding who you are, about growing beyond the limitations you've accepted as truth. Have you ever watched a child learn to walk? They fall hundreds of times. But here's the fascinating part. They never label themselves as bad at walking. They never say, well, I guess walking just isn't for me. They keep getting up again and again because something inside them knows they were meant to walk. That same force exists within you right now. That unstoppable drive didn't disappear. It just got buried under years of self-doubt, societal expectations, and the comfortable routine of doing just enough to get by. What if I told you that your lazy era has actually been preparing you for something greater? Every moment you spent feeling stuck, every time you chose comfort over growth, every instance of settling for less, these weren't failures. They were lessons. They were building the pressure that's about to propel you forward. Think about water in a kettle. It sits there seemingly inactive until it reaches a specific temperature. Then, in what appears to be a sudden transformation, it changes state entirely. You're at that boiling point right now. All those moments of feeling stuck, all that accumulated potential, it's about to transform into something powerful. But here's the part that might make you uncomfortable. This transformation isn't going to feel good at first. Growth never does. When you decide to exit your lazy era, you're declaring war on every comfortable habit you've built. You're challenging every excuse you've ever made. You're questioning every limitation you've accepted. The difference between where you are and where you want to be isn't knowledge. You already know what you need to do. It's not resources. You've seen people achieve amazing things with less than what you have right now. The difference is action. Consistent, purposeful, uncomfortable action. Your productive era isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about choosing growth over comfort, possibility over certainty, action over excuse. It's about understanding that every time you choose the harder path, the path that scares you a little, you're building something extraordinary. Remember that project you've been putting off? That dream you've kept on the back burner? That goal you say you'll get to someday? They're not waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting for you to decide that you're done waiting. The transition from your lazy era to your productive era isn't about changing who you are. It's about becoming who you've always been beneath the layers of excuses and fear. It's about recognizing that your potential isn't something you need to create. It's something you need to unleash. Look around this room. Every person here has a story of untapped potential, of dreams deferred, of comfort chosen over growth. But today, in this moment, you have a choice. You can continue the story you've been living, or you can start writing a new one. Your productive era isn't about following someone else's formula for success. It's about creating your own definition of productivity. It's about understanding that true productivity isn't measured in hours worked or tasks completed. It's measured in growth achieved, fears conquered, and limitations shattered. The most dangerous lie we tell ourselves is that we have time. Time to start later. Time to dream bigger tomorrow. Time to become who we're meant to be someday. But time isn't waiting for you to feel ready. Life isn't pausing until you feel confident enough to show up fully. The most painful conversations I have are with people who look back on their lives and say, I wish I had started sooner. Not because they failed, but because they kept rehearsing for a life they never lived, preparing for a journey they never started, waiting for a perfect moment that never arrived. Your lazy era has taught you something invaluable. It's shown you exactly what doesn't work. Every unfulfilled promise to yourself, every abandoned New Year's resolution, every I'll start on Monday that turned into weeks and months. These aren't failures. They're data points. They're showing you what happens when you try to change your life using willpower alone. Let's talk about what really happens in that moment when you choose comfort over growth. You're not just choosing to stay in bed or scroll through social media or watch another episode. You're choosing to accept a smaller version of yourself. You're voting for the person you are over the person you could become. It feels good in the moment, doesn't it? That's why it's so seductive. That's why it's so hard to break free. Your brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do. Keep you safe, keep you comfortable, keep you exactly where you are. What if I told you that discomfort is the currency of growth? That every moment of discomfort you're willing to embrace is actually an investment in your future self? Think about that for a moment. Every time you choose the harder path, you're not just doing something difficult. You're literally rewiring your brain. You're teaching your mind that growth is more important than comfort. Your productive era isn't about massive, dramatic changes. It's about tiny decisions made consistently. It's about understanding that every moment is a crossroads. Every time you reach for your phone first thing in the morning, every time you choose the easier option, every time you say later to something important. These are moments of choice. These are the moments that define who you become. Let me share something powerful with you. Your future self is watching you right now. That version of you who has already made the transition, who has already broken free from the lazy era, they're watching, and they're either going to thank you or forgive you for the choices you make today. Think about this. How many times have you heard someone say, I regret working out today, or I regret eating that healthy meal, or I regret getting up early and being productive? Never. You never regret the choices that align with growth. You only regret the ones that keep you stuck. Your lazy era has been comfortable, but comfort is overrated. Comfort is what keeps rivers from carving canyons. Comfort is what keeps butterflies trapped in their cocoons. Comfort is what keeps dreams trapped in the realm of someday. The transition to your productive era requires something more powerful than motivation. Motivation is emotional, and emotions are temporary. What you need is a system, a way of living that makes productivity inevitable. Not because you force yourself, but because you've designed your life in a way that makes growth the path of least resistance. This is what most people get wrong about productivity. They think it's about doing more, but true productivity is about alignment. It's about ensuring that your actions match your aspirations. It's about closing the gap between who you are and who you want to be. Every time you procrastinate, you're not just putting off a task. You're casting a vote for who you want to be. You're telling yourself a story about what you're capable of. And here's the thing about stories, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. But what if you could change the story? What if? Starting today, you began telling yourself a different narrative, not through empty affirmations or hollow promises, but through small, consistent actions that prove to yourself that you're capable of more. The transition from lazy to productive isn't about pushing yourself harder. It's about understanding yourself better. It's about recognizing that your lazy era wasn't a character flaw. It was a coping mechanism. It was your mind's way of dealing with uncertainty, with fear, with the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Here's a truth that might be hard to hear. Survival has cost you more than just time. It's cost you experiences, opportunities, relationships, and growth. But here's the beautiful part. The moment you decide to exit your lazy era, all of those costs become investments. They become the fuel that drives you forward. Think about the goals you've set and abandoned, the dreams you've deferred, the potential you've left untapped. Now imagine if all that accumulated energy, all that pent-up potential could be channeled into forward momentum. That's what's available to you right now. Let's talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. The cost of staying in your comfort zone. We often focus on the price of change, but what about the price of remaining the same? What opportunities are slipping through your fingers while you're waiting to feel ready? What memories aren't being created because you're too tired to show up fully in your life? The most expensive real estate isn't in any city or exclusive neighborhood. It's the gap between what you're capable of and what you're currently doing. That space is costing you more than money can measure. It's costing you life itself. Have you ever noticed how time seems to speed up when you're in your lazy era? Weeks blur into months, months into years, and suddenly you're looking back, wondering where the time went. That's because comfort creates the illusion of timelessness. When you're not growing, when you're not challenging yourself, when you're not creating new experiences, time seems to slip through your fingers like water. But here's what happens. When you enter your productive era, time expands. When you're fully engaged in life, when you're challenging yourself, when you're creating and growing and becoming, each moment becomes more vivid, more alive. You're not just existing through your days, you're living them. Let me tell you something about productivity that might surprise you. It's not about time management. It's about energy management. You can have all the time in the world, but if your energy is scattered, if your focus is fragmented, if your spirit is depleted, you'll still find yourself stuck in the cycle of procrastination and regret. Your lazy era has been teaching you something valuable about your energy. Every time you felt too tired to start, too overwhelmed to continue, too scattered to focus, these weren't failures of willpower. They were messages from your deepest self about what needs to change. Think about the last time you were truly engaged in something you cared about. Time seemed to disappear, didn't it? You weren't checking the clock every 5 minutes or fighting the urge to quit. That state of flow, that deep engagement, that's your natural state. Your lazy era isn't your true nature. It's what happens when you disconnect from your authentic path. The transition to your productive era isn't about forcing yourself to do more. It's about aligning yourself with what truly matters to you. When you're in alignment, productivity isn't something you do. It's something that flows through you naturally. Here's a truth that might shake you. Your lazy era isn't protecting you from failure. It's guaranteeing it. Not the kind of failure that comes from trying and falling short, but the kind that comes from never trying at all. The kind that whispers to you in your quiet moments, reminding you of all the lives you could have lived, all the person you could have become. But let's talk about what happens when you decide to exit your lazy era. Not gradually, not someday, but right now, in this moment, something profound begins to shift. The energy you've been using to maintain your comfort zone, to justify your inaction, to explain away your potential, that energy becomes available for growth. Your productive era isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about removing the layers of excuses, fears, and limiting beliefs that have been muffling your true voice, dimming your true light. Think about water for a moment. When it's frozen, it's rigid, stuck, limited. But add just a little heat, and it begins to flow. That's what happens when you exit your lazy era. You're not becoming something different. You're simply changing state, allowing your natural energy to flow. The most powerful moment in any transformation isn't the moment of achievement. It's the moment of decision. That instant when you decide that your potential is more important than your comfort, when you choose growth over safety, when you commit to becoming rather than remaining. Your lazy era has been a waiting room, but life isn't meant to be spent waiting. It's meant to be lived, explored, challenged, expanded. Every moment you spend waiting for the perfect time, the perfect circumstance, the perfect feeling. The transition from lazy to productive doesn't require more discipline. It requires more self-trust. Trust that you can handle the discomfort of growth. Trust that you can navigate the uncertainty of change. Trust that the person you're becoming is worth the temporary discomfort of transformation. Let's talk about the voice in your head that keeps you in your lazy era. You know, the one, it's always ready with a reason why now isn't the right time. Why you should wait until conditions are perfect. Why you deserve a break before you've earned it. That voice isn't your enemy. It's a part of you that needs to be retrained, not rejected. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're teaching that voice a new language. You're showing it that discomfort isn't danger, that uncertainty isn't unsafe, that challenge isn't threat. You're rewiring your internal dialogue from I can't to I'm becoming. The most profound shift happens when you realize that productivity isn't about pushing harder. It's about flowing smarter. Think of a river. It doesn't struggle to move forward. It simply follows its natural course, flowing around obstacles, finding the path of least resistance while still moving continuously toward its destination. Your productive era is about finding your flow, your natural rhythm of growth and progress. It's about understanding that some days will feel like rapids, fast, energetic, exhilarating, while others will feel like calm pools where you gather your strength. Both are essential. Both are part of the journey. Have you noticed how your lazy era always comes with a story? I'm too tired. It's too hard. I'm not ready. These stories seem real in the moment, but they're just comfortable fictions you've learned to tell yourself. The truth is simpler and more challenging. Every moment is an opportunity to choose growth over comfort. The transition to your productive era requires something that might feel counterintuitive. It requires not the kind of self-compassion that makes excuses, but the kind that understands that growth is a process that change is gradual, that every step forward counts no matter how small. Think about the times you've tried to change before. Maybe you went all in, pushed yourself to the limit, burned out, and slipped back into old patterns. That's not failure. That's valuable feedback. It's teaching you that sustainable change isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Your lazy era has been comfortable, but comfort is a poor substitute for fulfillment. Comfort can never give you the deep satisfaction that comes from growing, from challenging yourself, from becoming more than you were yesterday. Comfort can never match the thrill of discovering what you're truly capable of. The energy you've been using to maintain your comfort zone is the exact same energy that could fuel your transformation. Every excuse, every justification, every moment of procrastination, that's energy waiting to be redirected toward growth. The most dangerous comfort zone isn't physical. It's mental. It's the beliefs you hold about what's possible for you, about what you deserve, about who you can become. Your lazy era isn't just keeping you from doing more. It's keeping you from becoming more. Every time you choose productivity over procrastination, you're not just changing your actions, you're changing your identity. You're showing yourself through concrete action that you're the kind of person who follows through, who pushes through discomfort, who chooses growth over comfort. Your productive era isn't about perfection. It's about progression. It's about understanding that every productive day doesn't have to look the same, that progress isn't always linear, that sometimes 2 steps forward and 1 step back is still moving forward. The transition from lazy to productive requires something more subtle than willpower. It requires awareness. Awareness of the stories you tell yourself, of the excuses you accept, of the moments when you choose comfort over growth. This awareness isn't about judgment, it's about choice. Think about the energy you spend worrying about not being productive enough, feeling guilty about procrastination, regretting missed opportunities. What if you could redirect that energy into actual progress? What if instead of beating yourself up about what you haven't done, you focus that energy on what you could do right now? The most powerful realization in this transition is that your productive era isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what matters. It's about understanding that productivity isn't measured in hours worked or tasks completed, but in meaningful progress toward what truly matters to you. Your lazy era has taught you the cost of comfort. Now it's time to learn the value of purposeful discomfort, of chosen challenge, of intentional growth. It's time to understand that the discomfort of growth is far less painful than the discomfort of staying stuck. As we near the end of our time together, let's talk about what happens after you make the decision to exit your lazy era, because the decision is just the beginning. It's what you do in the moments, days, and weeks following that decision that determines whether this becomes another abandoned attempt or the beginning of true transformation. The first few days of your productive era will feel strange, uncomfortable, maybe even wrong. Your mind will try to pull you back to your comfortable patterns. It will create compelling reasons why you should wait, why you should ease into it, why you should take it slow. This is normal. This is your old programming fighting to survive. But here's what's fascinating about this transition. The discomfort you feel isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's evidence that you're doing something right. It's your comfort zone stretching, your potential expanding, your future self emerging. Every moment of discomfort is actually a moment of growth, even if it doesn't feel that way. Think about how many times you've reached this point before. The point where change seems possible, where motivation is high, where you can almost taste the person you're becoming. But this time is different. Not because the circumstances are different, but because you're different. You understand now that motivation isn't what you've been lacking. It's been clarity and commitment. Your productive era isn't about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about removing the limitations you've accepted, the excuses you've embraced, the stories you've told yourself about what's possible. It's about understanding that your potential isn't something you need to create. It's something you need to unleash. Every great achievement in human history started with someone deciding that comfort was no longer enough. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every transformation began with someone choosing growth over safety, progress over comfort, becoming. The most powerful shift happens when you realize that productivity isn't something you do. It's something you become. It's not about checking boxes or completing tasks. It's about aligning your actions with your aspirations, your moments with your mission, your days with your dreams. Your lazy era has been a cocoon, a safe space where you've been gathering strength, processing lessons, preparing for emergence. But just as a butterfly can't stay in its cocoon forever, you can't stay in your lazy era and expect to fly. The time for emergence is now. Think about all the energy you spent feeling stuck, feeling frustrated, feeling like you're capable of more, but not quite able to access it. That energy hasn't been wasted. It's been building. Like a spring being compressed, that energy is now ready to propel you forward. The transition to your productive era requires something that might surprise you. It requires self-trust. Trust that you can handle the discomfort of growth. Trust that you can navigate the uncertainty of change. Trust that the person you're becoming is worth the temporary discomfort of transformation. Here's a truth that might shake you. Your future self is not hoping you'll change. They're waiting for you to realize that you already have everything you need to begin. They're waiting for you to understand that the only thing standing between who you are and who you could be is the decision to begin. Your productive era isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what matters. It's about understanding that true productivity isn't measured in hours worked or tasks completed, but in alignment achieved between who you are and who you're becoming. The most profound change happens when you realize that productivity isn't about pushing harder. It's about removing resistance. It's about understanding what's been holding you back and choosing, moment by moment, to move forward anyway. Think about water again. It doesn't struggle to flow. It simply follows its natural course. Your productive era is about finding your natural flow, understanding your rhythms, and aligning your actions with your authentic path. Every moment you spend in your lazy era is a moment borrowed from your potential. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're not just standing still. You're actively choosing to remain less than you could be. The transition from lazy to productive isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming more. More aware, more intentional, more aligned with your potential. It's about understanding that every moment is a choice, and every choice is a vote for who you're becoming. Your productive era starts with a decision, but it's sustained by design. It's about creating an environment, both internal and external, that supports your growth. It's about surrounding yourself with people, ideas, and experiences that pull you forward instead of holding you back. The most powerful moment in any transformation isn't the moment of achievement. It's the moment of recognition. Recognition that you are not your past choices, your current circumstances, or your comfortable patterns. You are your potential, your possibilities, your power to choose differently. Think about all the times you've told yourself later someday when I'm ready. Those weren't just moments of procrastination. They were moments of choice. Choices that kept you safe, comfortable, and small. But safety is overrated when it comes at the cost of your potential. Your lazy era has served its purpose. It's shown you what happens when you choose comfort over growth, safety over potential, small over possible. But that chapter is closing now. Not because someone else decided it should, but because you're ready for more. The transition to your productive era isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more fully yourself. It's about removing the layers of excuses, fears, and limiting beliefs that have been muffling your true voice, dimming your true light. And so as we conclude our time together, remember this: the person you're becoming is not a distant dream. They're present in every choice you make, every action you take, every moment you choose growth over comfort. They're emerging through your decisions, your commitments, your willingness to embrace discomfort for the sake of growth. Your productive era isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting for you to begin. And that beginning happens now, in this moment, with your next choice. Not because you feel motivated, not because conditions are perfect, but because you've decided that who you could become is more important than who you've been. The time for waiting is over. The time for excuses is past. The time for small thinking and safe choices has ended. Your productive era isn't just possible, it's inevitable once you make the decision to begin. And that decision, it's yours to make right now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when conditions are perfect, but now, in this moment, with whatever you have, wherever you are. Your lazy era ends here. Your productive era begins now. The only question that remains is, what will you do with this moment? The choice is yours. The time is now. Your future self is watching, waiting, hoping you'll choose growth over comfort, possibility over safety, becoming over remaining. Make the choice. Take the step. Begin the journey. Your productive era waits. Let this moment be the one you look back on and say, that's when everything changed. That's when I decided to become more. That's when I chose to live up to my potential. The story of your transformation starts now. Rise up. Step forward, become more. Your time is now.